The reason people do not trust is because there's been a breakdown in society. The factors involved in it are manifold, but basically you do not trust is because you've been betrayed or you've been exploited at some time in your life. How can you trust if you're 8 years old and your parents have divorced and separated? There's a trauma there, there's a wound which can be healed, but it's one that is very much there. If you've been abused, if you've been exploited, if you're a woman who's been exploited many times by men in a sexual sort of way, for example, or not even sexually, but emotionally manipulated, well, you're wounded, you feel betrayed, and it's your level of trust for the next man you encounter is going to be lower by the very nature of things. And actually, this whole thing of trust has to do with institutions. Clearly, the church itself, in its human element, the great disaster of the priestly abuse scandal of several years ago, did enormous damage, and it's a great tragedy from which the church will resurrect after this very long passion which you've gone through. But naturally, people will not be as trustful as perhaps they should be, because really the problem was huge, but it wasn't, that it was a very small percentage of priests or religious who acted in this sort of way. You could talk about Watergate of 40 years ago or Clinton Gate of a few years ago. The whole idea, do we trust our government? Do we trust our intermediate institutions? So it's not simply a question of marriage, but clearly when you see people not living up to their commitments to you, you become mistrustful of people. And it's a very sad situation.